I didn't get caught up too much into it yesterday, but there was a lot of debate over Jimmy Garoppolo and how good he is, and some people criticizing him, some people defending him. What I'm about to say, I don't know if women think about it like this, but I can just say this is how I think about it. If I vacation with very few people. Very few people I'm willing to go somewhere with for 4 or 5 days. And it really comes down to, are you a good hang? Are you needy? Is it all about you? Are you secure in yourself? Can I hang out with you for 5 days? Because you know Uncle Colin's picking up the check. Can I hang with you? Are you tedious? And here's what I would say about Jimmy Garoppolo, and I've heard this from people in the building. He's a good hang. He's a good hang. Years ago, I used to work with somebody who played with Aaron Rodgers. He was asked once about him privately, and he said, great talent, bad hang. Forget the fact that since Jimmy arrived, when he starts games for the Niners, they're 35-15, and when he doesn't, the other Niner quarterbacks are 7-19. And when they lose, they often get rolled. But he reminds me of those Marvel movies. I know they're not great cinema. I know they won't win Oscars. And I know the critics in Hollywood's elite snub their nose at Marvel movies. But they always make me feel good when I walk out of the theater. They make old people like me feel young. Go back to your childhood and comic books. And they make young people laugh. How do they make you feel? I know that Nomadland is what the real artist community embraced. But it was sad and depressing. People pooping in buckets. I didn't leave the theater in a good mood. Jimmy G makes people feel good. He's a guy's guy. Think about this. Tom Brady has had 20 quarterbacks in his career backing him up. Only one he wanted out of the building. Garoppolo made Tom Brady a little insecure. He's a guy's guy. People like him. Dudes like him. George Kittle was talking about him this week, and he talked about Jimmy G. He doesn't worry about the outside world. Aaron Rodgers is obsessed about it. Obsessed how he's being treated. Jimmy doesn't care, man. Jimmy's good looking. Jimmy's cool. Jimmy wins. Jimmy's rich. He's a guy's guy. And the analytic people often forget this. There's a feel to football. It can't just be about your arm and your talent. If so, then Aaron Rodgers wouldn't be 11-10, and he wouldn't keep losing games at home as a favorite to inferior quarterbacks. Aaron got tight and dink and dunk. He's not a good hang. He's not. Jimmy Garoppolo's fun to be around. He makes you feel better in crisis. I've said this about Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. Man, he shrinks. Derek Carr is a good quarterback. He doesn't. Derek Carr's got limitations. I never feel like he shrinks in a big spot. Kirk Cousins has limitations. I feel like he shrinks all the time. I don't know if Jimmy G wins this weekend. I don't know. But there is something about this game that's amazing. There is a feel to it. Sean McVay talks about Matt Stafford all the time. It's not about his arm. It's not about his experience. He said he's just got an emotional intelligence about him. It's called the feel. You know, Nick Wright was on earlier this week talking about Patrick Mahomes and how he smiles at the end of games and how his heart rate goes up when he's on the sidelines, not in the game. Analytics can't tell you about that. How are you in crisis? How do your teammates relate to you? And I've said this about Jimmy G. He's a foxhole guy. He's a baller. Aaron's more talented, but you wouldn't trust him in crisis. He wouldn't trust you, and he's a bailer. So there's got to be something to this game beyond just, wow, he's big, he's strong. There is a feel to it. And Jimmy is absolutely limited. But I watched him outduel Joe Burrow down the stretch this year, and Matt Stafford in the second half this year, and Kyler Murray in a big spot this year, and Aaron Rodgers at Lambeau. And I know analytically he's a dud. But there's not a feel to it when you go to Vegas with the guys. If there was no feel to it, you just take the guys with the most money that would buy all the stuff. But when you're picking guys to go on a camping trip, or you're picking guys to go whitewater rafting with, or picking guys to go to Vegas with, or going down to Miami with, you're trying to get guys that are kind of fun to be around. They're not needy. They're not obsessed with crap. You can just kind of hang, and they don't get offended by stuff. And, you know, if they may drink a little too much, you got to reel them in. But if you screw up, they'll be there for you. Garoppolo and Aaron Rodgers are literally the opposite guy. Who's playing this week and who's not? Feel matters. So Troy Aikman was talking on a podcast, media podcast, about Joe Burrow. And Troy Aikman works at our network, and Joe Burrow doesn't. And he's not going to work on TV for a long time. He's going to win in football games. And Troy Aikman talked about it. And once again, it's the intangibles, not the tangibles. There's a lot he loves about him. Here's where Joe Burrow is bad for some people in football. He's bad for Tua. He's bad for Justin Fields. He's bad for Daniel Jones. Because when you're able to overcome all these obstacles, great creates clarity. Bengals have the cheapest owners in the league. It's a tough division. Zach Taylor was 625-1 before he got there. He's got a bad O-line. He's coming off a brutal injury. Here we are, year 2, AFC Championship. That creates clarity for Daniel Jones. Well, Daniel Jones, if I have to hear this again, the Giants didn't do everything they could. Win games, I'm over it. Year 3, get better. I don't want to hear about it. Well, Tua has had this quarterback win more games, be better in crisis. Jalen Hurts, next year's year 3. You got to the playoffs. I want more improvement. Justin Fields, year 2. Don't want to hear about it. Trevor Lawrence, get better. Zach Wilson, year 2. Win more games. Cincinnati has been a mess. They were a mess 20 years ago. They were a mess 10 years ago. Mostly, they were a mess the day before he arrived. Obstacles everywhere. Now, Justin Herbert was really good day 1, too, but the Chargers have a good roster. They had to fix their offensive line, but they have a good roster. They'd have recent success with Phillip Rivers. Cincinnati was just a mess. All these obstacles, ownership issues, didn't know if the coach could coach, bad offensive line, Steelers and the Ravens in division, the Browns roster in division, year 2, AFC Championship. That is not good news for Zach Wilson. It may not be good news for Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence. It's not great for Tua or Jalen Hurts. Win now, not interested. I'm not interested in hearing about Daniel Jones' struggles. It's the NFC East. It stinks. You got enough good players. You got Kenny Golladay and Darius Slayton, and you went and spent a lot of money on Adoree Jackson. You got Leonard Williams. Saquon Barkley's not what he used to be. You got Evan Ingram. You got enough guys. Go win. Bad division. I don't want to hear it. Joe Burrow's getting sacked 9 times on the road for a franchise that has not had a lot of big road playoff wins, ever. He pulled it out. So that's where Justin Fields. Even Carson Palmer, as great as he is in Cincinnati, said, okay, I give up. I got to get out of here. I can't. That's where guys like Joe Burrow, Sean McVay did the same thing. When Sean McVay put a lot of pressure on other coaches, he walked into the league. They literally could not get first downs with Jared Goff. Jeff Fisher out, Jared Goff in, and Jared Goff is out dueling Mahomes on Monday Night Football. Year later, playoffs. That puts you on the clock as a coach. Nobody wants to hear the excuses. Year 2, coach, win games. Year 2, quarterback, win games. That's where he's bad for football. The rest he's great for. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.